G'day folks. Well, for tonight's little equipment autopsy we're going to keep tearing down the photocopier. Well, I shouldn't say photocopier, I should say digital copier. And I did get the capacitive fluorescent lamp to light up. At first I thought it was like a regular CCFL, but it was pointed out to me by Erland SE that it is not, and he's correct. There are squiggly plates on both sides. I've seen them actually half wrapped in foil, so I figured that it was just a bit of reflectiveness or something like that. Never really paid much attention to them, but there is actually a capacitive, well, there's two plates in there essentially with phosphor in between, so rather than having a filament at each end, there are just two metal conductors on either side and a gap about, I don't know, about 6 to 8 mil in diameter. And all it's doing is passing current from one side to the other evenly. There's no end-to-end flicker or anything like that. It's a very stable light source by the looks of it. Camera has no trouble with it. Yeah, you can see there, squiggly. It goes all the way to the end and then stops, and on the other side, directly opposite it, is another one. And then just connected in at the end there. So yeah, very bright green light, driven off a high frequency power supply, a very simple one. There are quite a few surface mount devices on the underside, so it's not as simple as it looks on top. There are a lot of surface mounts, but it's still a very small power supply. What is it? It's 1640 volts, 73 milliamps. So it would hurt you if you got across it. You don't want to do that. Power wise, I've found the outermost pin number 4 is positive DC. Pin number 1 is ground/negative, and pin number 3 is negative power supply trigger. So as soon as you remove negative trigger, it turns off. It's okay. Give it negative again, triggers start up. So they're very simple to power, and I'm just using the little, was it 2.1 amp 24 volt power supply out of the fingernail printer. I don't think it would pull that much current on the input side, but who knows. Switching FET's a little bit warm, but that's normal. I think it's supposed to have a bit of airflow over it in the chassis. This whole thing's designed to have a reasonable amount of airflow through it, including the big fans at the back which pull air through the fusing unit and the drum unit, the carbon filters to get rid of the ozone from the imaging unit. The corona wires throw off a lot of ozone. That's why photocopiers, particularly old ones before they had proper carbon filters on them, give off that sweet ozone smell. It smells quite nice. So anyway, I'm going to start removing some more covers. Actually no, I'm missing one thing. I've covered the lamp. Let's have a look at the charge coupled device, or CCD, the image sensor. It's not a very big one, but it is still a CCD. So I'll pop that under the camera. I'll give you a link to the Wikipedia page if you want to read up on them. They're a very neat device, invented in 1969 I think it was, and yeah, they're a really interesting thing. There we go. Oh, it's kind of sad how little optical equipment's in this. Look at the size of that little thing. First analog copier I tore apart had this massive Pentax Zox branded optical assembly with a sliding focus adjustment and everything. Like, the analog machines can do enlargement, and they move. Like my EP4000, when you set it up you can see it all wind in and out, and they have fairly large optical assemblies in them. Nowadays it's pathetically small, but essentially it is just an A3 flatbed scanner, and you won't find anything more impressive in a desktop scanner. If anything, it'll be a little bit less impressive, but really it's the same thing. And you've got this little basic charge coupled device, CCD, one-dimensional CCD, I think they call that. It's only in a horizontal plane. There's virtually no vertical plane, and it just feeds data to the the processing side of it, which creates a basically an image that you can see on the display in some cases, or scan to print server or whatever. It'll be interesting to see if the print server does actually have its own internal storage, or if it's reliant on the local network. A lot of them have a very small hard drive or CF card or something like that, possibly even some flash RAM. Yeah, anyway, let's separate this board and we'll stick it under the microscope. You can see the ends of the CCD are attached to these metal plates too for a bit of cooling. It is slightly heat sunk, it's not alloy like some of the big old ones that I've torn down. The really early digital ones have, this is all cast alloy to dissipate the heat, and the CCD is twice as big. But this is a very good example of a small modern digital copier scanner assembly. There's not much in it that you can really use at home, not like the old ones. Okay, so the main CCD board, back at this end, not entirely sure what those components do exactly. I'm not going to look up all the data sheets on them. It's just the back of the CCD board. A couple more solid caps. That's the back of the CCD itself, where it solders into the board. That there looks like it can handle some current. That's probably to do with the capacitive charging. The CCD uses metal oxide semiconductor based capacitors essentially in its surface area. You're better off reading the Wikipedia article. I read up on them ages ago, and I'll post a link to the Wikipedia on the CCD. This is right near the main connector. I'm guessing that chip there, the DG02, is the logic encoder or something like that. Encodes it into a signal that the main logic board on the copier can understand. Yeah, there could be a flatbed scanner all on one board. The digital board in the copier might be receiving a proper image file from this thing for all I know, given how many components you can cram into a single IC like that these days. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if it's a single board solution. So anyway, let's turn it over and get a good zoom on the CCD itself, because that's the interesting bit there. You can't see much at the moment, but I'll adjust the zoom and the lighting and have a look. Okay, let's have a closer look at it. As you can see, we're on the business end of it, where it looks like there are a number of resistors by the looks of it. The little squiggly line there almost looks like a carbon trace. Well, it wouldn't be carbon, would it? It's all on the semiconductor. But yeah, I'm not too sure. Might reduce brightness a little bit. I'm making it too glary or too dark. Yeah, getting the lighting just right's a bit tricky. But you can see the lead wires coming off to the metal contacts inside the ceramic housing. That's how far in we are. And then we start on the business side of the CCD, that black stuff. Oops. The scope needs a bigger base. That's one thing I'm going to do, is make a bigger base for it. Just going right across it. And that's the opposite end. I don't know exactly what all these different components are. I'm sure if I zoom right in on there, you'll see the little serrations on the sides. Yeah, you can see it down there. Not the clearest shot, but it'll do. Might see if I can get in real close and just take a shot of that. But you can see the ceramic package and the metal pads that are, well, basically the pins. They lead off to the pins on the package. So I'm right down this end here, but you can see they all come back to the pins on the side of the package. There we go. That gives you a closer look at it. You can see something going on in here. There's a row of dots. but that is so black and so opaque. There's just no light reflecting off it apart from where these tiny little dots are. So that's actually part of the CCD itself. And you can see that nice big thick looking lead wire. That thing's probably the thickness of a human hair. Yeah, for a cheap USB microscope, this thing's really cool. Let's see what other close-ups I can get. You might be getting hail outside, but look at that. I found a manufacturer's mark, a watermark or something. That's really cool. Camera's having issues with brightness and everything. That's a bit better. Okay, and in the rest of the electronic side of it, or logic side anyway, we have, looks like a flash memory card with a backup battery. That's probably going to be instead of a hard drive. There is what's probably a hard drive connector there, but no drive. There is a CF card in here. It's looks like an expansion module. Julian pulled it out the other night, but I don't think he opened it. Yeah, some kind of expansion module. So, yeah, little daughter board there with a couple of large BGA chips on it. Could be a part of the print server. Oh, what is this? Here we go, accessory printer controller. That's what it is. So it's all to do with network printing or local printing. This has USB on it and Ethernet, as well as even LPT if you game. Anyway, there's a pony chip in there and what looks like Schrodinger's cat on that one. Interesting. Different chip names I haven't seen before apart from the Motorola one there. I'll get this board out and we'll have a closer look at it. We'll do all the digital image processing side of it first, and then we'll move on to the mechanics of it another night. Probably tomorrow afternoon actually. I'm going to go for a bit of a trip across town to Werribee and have a look at a car tomorrow with Julian. We'll do a bit of a road trip. Could be fun. What could possibly go wrong with the two of us going across from one side of Melbourne to the other in a RAV4. Anyway, it is getting freezing cold out here. This hail is, well, the hail stopped and it's just cold now. So digital boards, then the rest of it tomorrow. Okay, main board is out. I looked that one up since it looks like the main brains of the business, and it is. It's a Motorola RISC processor, 200 megahertz, 32-bit. Pretty neat. So that's the main processor. It looks like it's got a bunch of RAM there, probably some flash RAM, extended flash RAM I'd guess, as well as backup battery. Yeah, there we go. Epson, okay. Yeah, that'll be a backup for its own internal memory. And another battery probably for onboard flash. Schrodinger's cat chip, aka Monolith 27LA pt902. That'll probably be interface for that and or that. Well, that's actually a memory slot, so there's more RAM. Yes, Schrodinger's cat chip. Could be alive and dead at the same time. I know you nerds out there will get the reference. The Pony chip, I don't know, but then it seems to go straight to the COM bus and the LPT port, so that's probably analog LPT input. Network controller side of it, and USB controllers all in here. More expansion, which wasn't in this unit. I don't know what that is or was. That's intriguing. It looks like an IDE port, but everything's shrunk. It's much smaller. Could be hard drive interface. A lot of these probably did come with a hard drive option. But the one that's connecting straight to Ethernet is a VS348RE. I'd be willing to bet that's in Ethernet, since it's the traces are coming straight off the port to it. Is that a pulse jack? Oh yeah. Yeah, certainly interesting tech in these things. A bit of a shame to tear it apart, but there are so many of these sitting in surplus warehouses and office equipment auction businesses, and you name it. There's just so many copiers out there. Oh well, let's have a look at the other little expansion board. Okay, we have 32 meg flash card with its firmware version and everything on it. A little silver sticker. Yeah, compact flash. Second slot on it too. Can take 2 CF cards. Interesting. And there. Not sure what that does. Yeah, I know it's a printer expansion now, so that's about it. This little thing here is pretty chip heavy. There are a couple of big BGAs under that one, and heat sunk. It's doing some serious processing. It's a Phoenix Technologies chip. It's probably an FPGA. An FPGA processor and something else, probably a network or a printer interface. Super I/O. American Megatrends, good on you. Haven't seen that one for a while. I remember when I used to be able to boot up my old PCs and see that. I'm sure if I do still boot up some of my old PCs, I'll see an American Megatrends BIOS splash screen. Let's take these little screws out, see what those other BGAs are. Well, there you go. That chip that had the sticker on it's actually a driver IC. It's not an FPGA. What the hell's it driving on there though? Multi-voltage 5-watt driver IC. Interesting. Mind you, given the heat sinking on these two, maybe it's driving them. Let's pull the rest of this apart. Well, I've worked out what this board does. This whole thing's probably running Linux. Or something similar. That silver one, that GO-GX1 300B, that's a 300 MHz CPU essentially. Yeah, 300 MHz frequency, bus speed of 33. Yeah, MMX instructions as well, so like Intel based stuff. Yeah, PCI controller, 16-bit audio subsystem. Wow, this thing has a lot. Yeah, that's it. That's neat. So that little flash card's probably running a Linux-based print server function, essentially. So it's not just a network printer. Oh, of course, yeah, the main board allows network printing, but if you actually want a built-in print server, that little module does it. Okay, I know now. My CF2001 has a print server board as the whole thing, but it's got a laptop hard drive, 2 SD RAM sticks and whatever else all built into it, and it loads up Fiery X3E. This probably runs something similar. Alright, I know what's going on in this thing now. Cool. Okay, so it's a fair bet. This is the print server. This is actually a little embedded PC. Flash memory with the operating system and the brains of the business. CPU, obviously like a Northbridge / interface chip. Or no, so there's the I/O chip, the American Megatrends I/O by National Semiconductor. They're all by National. Yeah, so it's your little print server interface. That's cool. Okay, well, that was an interesting little run through. I was hoping to get more torn down, but the allure of interesting little digital boards was a bit too good, so we stuck with digital boards for the afternoon. I believe there's still another one in there. There has to be, because there are BLDC motors and things in here with cables just disappearing. Like, none of them went to this or the other boards. This is just scanner and imaging logic and input output. So there's another board somewhere in here, but we'll deal with that when we actually deal with the rest of the printer side of it in the next episode. Thanks for watching.